Now, let's take a look at Activity 1, which will cover the introduction to the class. I expect it might take you around 2 hours or so to do the whole thing. So there's 3 different parts of this activity: 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. The goal is to learn how the class works, okay, and to understand what the requirements and expectations are. So for that, I've got an introduction module. I have a syllabus. Take your time to go over those because your preparation right now with those will help you be more efficient and effective later on. There's not a lot of extra spare time in this class. So Musashi's rule number 9 is very important. Do nothing that is useless. And to avoid doing things that are useless, you really have to know what's useful first. So this is the things that I'm going to focus on so that you can focus on them. So the first thing to do in Activity 1.1 is look at the Canvas landing page and become familiar with it. And you can do that on your own, or you can just go over it. I'm in a student view right now. You'll see over here on the left a little nav bar. You don't really need that. You can click those 3 little bars and get rid of it. And you can zoom out so this stuff doesn't, zoom in so that this doesn't show. I'm holding Control and hitting plus. And I guess it's not going to go all the way away, but makes it a little easier to see. On the top bar, you'll see a Start Here button that goes to the modules. You'll see announcements, which show up here, but this goes to them anyway. And watch, if I right click, I can open it in a new tab so that it's there for me to look at. And so we could get started that way. Or I could go to the announcements, right click, open in a new tab. So that's an important thing. The course calendar is important. Okay, there it is right there. Right now, here it looks all empty, but here you'll see, oh, there's stuff starting on the 6th. And that's where you're going to see a lot of the details of what you need to do. Submit work takes you to the modules again. But you'll see that there's, if I collapse these down, you'll see the categories. And where it says submit, that is where you're going to submit something. So there's 3 places in the modules to submit work. Executive summaries are by week. That's like a weekly summary. Drawings and files are each separate one. And this is only what's due this week, by the way. And then, as you know, or as you will know, you're able to do revisions and late work. So I have a place for those. Okay, and super important is how to access our computers. If you want to download AutoCAD and put it on your computer, you may do so. If you're working on a Mac, I suggest you're going to be very unhappy with it. It doesn't look anything like what I'm going to show you. If you're working on a Chromebook or don't want to download it yourself, we have it for you. Going to right click. It's called VMware. And you have some abilities to get to this stuff. If you click on this one, HTML access, and use your username and password, that's your W number and your W number password. This should say LRCCD. It will take you to all these computers and computer stations. And if you go to ARC Design and Engineering Technology and click, that will take you to one of our computers. And you can use that through your Mac, your PC, or your Chromebook. And that is how I'm going to do all of my demonstrations. They will all be on this VMware. And there's AutoCAD for you right there. So now I'm going to sign out. I'll give you more information about that later. Didn't like that for some reason, but I don't care. It's not my computer. Okay. Then the next thing on the home page is me. There's a little introduction. This is how to get a hold of me electronically. This is a little bit about what you can expect from emails. Please use your school email address. Our system throws everything else into spam or unfocused or this or that. Your best bet is to use your school email address or to work through Canvas. You can send me an email through Canvas right there on the inbox. When you're sharing files with me on Google Apps, which you'll be asked to do fairly frequently, make sure that you store them on a Google Drive. It can be your own or your apps Dos Los Rios, but please make sure that I can see it. Set the sharing permissions so that anyone with the link can view. And then if you need to share it only with me, use my Google Apps ID. How do you know what to do each week? There's that calendar, or you can go to the modules. I will show that to you in a little while. But here's a calendar that you can get everything off of. Some people love calendars and it's easier for them, and some people love modules. So I made it both ways. Okay, here are some things that are supplied by the DESGN Design Technology Department. Here's our workbook, which you don't really need. I'm going to pull stuff out of it and give it to you. Here's my YouTube channel that you do need. I suggest that you have that bookmarked so that if for some reason you can't get to something from the calendar or Canvas, that you're able to get to it there. I have a how-to playlist that maybe you'll need. Here's the VMware again. And here's a Tech Ed YouTube channel that is pretty good. And of course, if you need resources, if we're asking you to do something and you don't have the equipment to do it, then contact me as soon as you can. We usually have equipment and resources for people, but it can take a bit. So we need to know as soon as we can because your success is our goal. For stuff that's not part of the DESGN program, I can't help with that sometimes, but we've got MCT, Manufacturing, Construction, and Transportation Home Base. That's design tech. That might not be your home base, but get to a home base and ask your coach. There are resource pages. There's a student tech center. There's our tech ed office. Our dean used to be the department chair for our department, so you can get a hold of him. He knows a lot, and there's Canvas help. Okay, so that's your access the landing page. After that, access the calendar. Be sure that you can. There it is again. Make sure that you can get to it in a browser. And then the last thing for activity 1.1 is to go through the orientation module. Open it up and read, 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 do. Read, 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 and read. Okay, and this is just information. And it's important. You don't have to memorize it. You don't even have to know everything about it. You should know where it is and how to get to it. The one thing that I absolutely want you to do is to read the syllabus. Go over the introduction and then do the assignment. That's critical. You get points for it. If you don't do your syllabus certification, I'm uh, I start adding penalties because it means that you haven't taken the time to figure out how this class works. So please, please, please get that done and certify that you've done it. I'm going to do a version of that right now. I'm going to click on it. Oh, I'm going to have to leave student view. Okay, so you can read all this and you're going to come down to what to do. So you need your own copy of the syllabus. Okay, so log into Google Drive. I am. Click on it and make your own copy. Then as you read each page in detail, click on this little box down in the bottom and make it green. That means that you've read it and you've understood what's on that page. There you go. You've read it. So do all this reading. There is a lot of reading. I don't need to read it to you. This is about what we're going to do. This is the grading system, and it's important, particularly notice that I do allow revision. I don't just allow, I expect. It's natural, it's common, it's important in design. It almost never comes out perfect the first time. Now, it might come out good enough, and that'll be cool, but you are expected to revise work to make it better. I also realize that it's summer and that this is a lot of work, so I do accept late work, but not a lot. I mean, if everybody gives me all their work late at the end, I've got hundreds of hours to do. So I only give half. I only do half of them. You'll get up to full credit for that half that I do. Okay? That can seriously affect your grade. So try to keep up with it. Okay? So read this over and there's some reductions to your final grade. If you're late with your executive summary submittals, okay, that's a third of the time, I'll actually reduce your final grade. This is in keeping with workplace standards. As if a client wants work done and you've contracted for it, you need to give it to them on time. And so this is my way of putting that workplace requirement into my grades. Okay. And then if you don't do a final portfolio, that's like doing all the work and never giving it to your client. Okay. So turn all of these green. There it is. There's a little paint bucket. I'm in Google Drive. And then at the very end, read all of those. Answer these questions. Just type away. Type away. Type away. And I'll read these. Okay. And that will show me that you have actually done this. When you're done, you'll do File, Download as a PDF. And when this opens up on the 6th, there'll be an assignment button, and you can just drag this right into it. That's how simple it will be. Okay, so there you go. That's activity 1.